Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, people. Very, very welcome to another episode of Pre-Match Carnage. And this time it's Liverpool West Ham. With Liverpool looking to get back-to-back wins for the first time this season, believe it or not, in the league, I believe. I believe. That is right, lads? Liverpool.
No, I think when Bournemouth Newcastle one after another, and then we
Did
didn't
we?
win. I think they one after another, and then we didn't do anything else for like a month and a half.
Yeah,
All
I think that's right.
Great start from Grizz then. Got my facts from the start. But hey, listen, this is what Khanage is about. You know what I mean? Who says no one likes facts anyway? We live in a day and age. We live in a day and age of no one gives a shit about facts. You know, people just go with the narrative, and the narrative is Liverpool need to win back-to-back games to get back in the top four race. Or is there more than a top four race? We'll discuss. Of course, we've got Liverpool fans, Tom and Mick in the house. Tom, all right, mate?
You all right, mate? Thanks for having me on.
No problem, mate. Not a problem. I know a bit of a last-minute one, but the Warriors, the true Reds that you are, can't stop talking about Liverpool. Thank you very much. And, of course, I've got Mick from Cop Hype Podcast. If you guys haven't subscribed and followed, make sure you do. Mick, how you doing?
Yeah, nice one for the plug. Yeah, nice one. It feels like I haven't been on for ages actually, so it's nice to get back on.
You went bloody old concert and carnival and London and all sorts of places, and then you went abroad.
Yeah, I went to Rome for a bit, and then
that's it.
Off to London, and I'm off to York tomorrow for because it's my not a big one. Like I'm 33 tomorrow, so it's just it doesn't matter when you're over 30, does it? No one gives a fuck.
That's a nice little plug for his birthday, people. So make sure you get all over his socials and make him feel all like nice and young still. Big up everyone. Come on, you irons. All right. Yes. That's nice. Dan's brought in some comment. Grizz loved your roasting of Huey last night. Hey, listen, Huey's a lovely little brother of mine, but you know, I couldn't have had the disrespect that he showed Liverpool and Mohamed Salah, especially last week. So I had to give some back. Of course, on the pre-match carnage, we always try to get an opposition fan on. And I've got one of the best West Ham fans I know on. Dan, welcome back, my friend. How you doing?
Yeah, mate. Good to be back on since last time the North versus South combined 11. I got stitched up by Potts.
I tell you what, that was one of the best shows I've done, man. Who would have thought a draft, right, made up of like Ted Bowley's, is it Ted his name, first name, or whatever his name is, Ted Bowley's idea, right, would be so fun. Fucking amazing fun. I could have started laughing for nights, man. Honestly, I was cracking up. Oh, God. There was one, I'm still reeling from one of your calls. I can't remember now. Fuck's sake. There was
I'm trying to remember one of the players he was trying.
I'm trying to remember. It was hilarious.
It was tough, though. I want to redo at some point.
No, we will. It was tough. It's not as easy when you're on the spot. Trust me. Ask me. We've done quizzes, right? And normally you think, when you're watching it, how do they not know this?
Yeah,
Mick, it's mad, isn't it? When the pressure's on, your mind goes blank.
Yeah, I can't even remember what the question was now, but it was like fairly recent. I think it was it Chelsea and Spurs, was it? Like 2015? Yeah. It's like 7 years ago. I couldn't remember anyone.
Did you have to name 7 players?
7, yeah, 7 to win. I just scraped over the line, I think.
And everyone thinks you can easily name 7 players from Chelsea, Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? In 2019 or 18, I think it was, and the brain's frozen. I think you just got over the line, but it is what it is. Guys, let's get into it. Massive game. Premier League's always massive game. Barclays Premier League. There's never an easy moment for any team, whether you're at the bottom, mid, or thing. It's brilliant. It's really kicking into now, just before the World Cup. Games coming thick and fast every 2-3 days, Tom. We've just witnessed a fantastic game of football. Like, even if we're not Liverpool, like even Liverpool fans or Man City fans, if you just take away the tribalism, that was a fantastic game of football, wasn't it?
Very good. It's even better because we won. Taking away the tribalism, though, it was, one of the more interesting games, especially since this was the first time I can remember Klopp making such a big change. I said it yesterday. Yesterday was the first time for a number of years. I think where Klopp played the opposition rather than played his game. And will it continue? Who knows? But I really like seeing it, and I thought he got his tactics spot on. So if we stick with, obviously losing Diogo is the only blot on that, and for as long as it is, it's gutting. But we've got players who need to step in now and stake their claim, i.e. Darwin Núñez off the left.
Yeah, oh mate. I know you mentioned Diogo Jota, and we get into the sort of the injuries and the rest of the injuries. But Mick, was you there this Sunday? Can't remember.
No. I mean, I could have, but I just didn't get back to the fella in time to get it. But yeah,
what a game to miss.
Gutted, I know, absolutely gutted.
It was a bit of a performance, wasn't it? We needed that. We desperately needed that. Some were even saying we needed a performance, even if we didn't get a result. I've never thought of it like that. I always want the result first and foremost, and then the performance. If it comes, it comes. Otherwise, you take the result. But to get both was a bit of a turn up for the books, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we all wanted it for the Arsenal game. Ideally, we wanted to, obviously, Arsenal flying high. We wanted to bring them back down to earth with a massive bump, and refereeing decisions and all that didn't go our way that day. But the performance weren't there against Arsenal. I don't think we were good in small parts, but the City game back at Anfield, that was where we found our feet. And we've been waiting for this moment for when Liverpool finally turn up, and Van Dijk and all the usual fellas that you expect 7 and 8 out of 10 out of every week to finally turn up, and they did. And it's just like that. It's just one of those things that needs to be a platform now for us to build on, and we need to take that to tomorrow night and carry it on, because we need to keep the momentum going. That's the main thing.
We just haven't had a chance to build any momentum whatsoever, have we? But we've got an awkward opponent tomorrow, haven't we, lads? Dan, West Ham. Just a very quick overview on terms before we get into sort of the ins and outs of it, but just an overview to your start of the season. What's it been like?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really poor start to the season, to be honest. The results just were not coming. Losses to Nottingham Forest and Brighton. It was just we could not get the results over the line. It was really frustrating, but it seems we've started to improve now, started to pick up some wins here and there. Frustratingly, didn't get the win on Sunday. Referee, I hate to blame referees, but he was shocking that day.
Talk of the town at the moment, mate. Talk of the town, these bastard refs. Anyway.
Yeah, it's this season. I don't know. It just across the board, they seem to be worse than ever before this season. Like
horrible. Like we have no reason. I said it. Look, normally when you complain about referees, usually your team's drop points or you've lost, or decisions have gone against you. None of that. We've won. We've beaten the best team in the Premier League by far, one of the best teams in Europe, in my opinion as well. We've got VAR decisions going in our favour. We've got no reason to be bitter and salty. Yet I'm saying it, and Klopp said it as well today, that the decisions for both teams, not just us, was awful. It was horrible decisions for both teams. Like, I thought a couple of their players got fouled loads of, like Foden and Silva were receiving in the fouls as well. He just wouldn't give anything. And I get it, let the game flow, but what happens in the end is what we got with Pep and Klopp losing their heads. Because the coaches are not used to the inconsistencies of refereeing. If all referees let the game flow, then no problem. We can all accept. Let the game flow. We're going to expect that every week. But if one week referees pulling out card left, right, centre just for the minor touch, and the next one's like not booking anyone for doing professional DDTs right in front of you, it's insane. It's insane. The levels of inconsistency.
How can you prep teams? How can you train teams for that? You know what I mean? When you don't know, like, okay, where's the line? Because the line changes from week to week, from ref to ref. So I can understand, managers like Klopp and Pep being furious, because it's like, well, what do we know what we can?
And then VAR stepping in as well, because the Fabinho one, yes, it's a foul in any context, but there's been about 4 of them throughout the whole game that hadn't been given, but because they didn't lead to a goal, they weren't pulled up. So that's another thing. The VAR also has to be on the same page as the referee.
That's the thing that infuriates the City fans, because I've been doing a couple of post matches on a couple of other platforms with the City fans, and they were saying, because he didn't let anything go. Because he let a lot of things go, that foul should have been let go as well. but he did let it go. But because it led to a goal, then VAR saw it, and the referee in the VAR thought, no, that's a foul. So that VAR referee, like you say, Tom, refereed it completely different from the on-field ref. So do you get the frustration on everyone's part? Like it's mad because you're right. He was letting minor fouls, like Fabinho done a couple of fouls, Rodri done about 58. So everyone was doing fouls, but he was letting them go. But yeah, look, we needed that win. We got that win. Performance. I'm gonna come to you, Dan. Over the summer, I think me and you done I can't remember whose show it was. It may have been Dan Potts's. Can't remember. We done like a preview to the season, and you didn't like my suggestion that I thought you guys are going to struggle. I thought you guys are going to struggle because not because I got anything against West Ham. I lived in Leighton all my life, like around the corner from West Ham, Green Street. Grew up, even though I was a Leighton Orient closet fan, like Glory Hunter, joined Liverpool, but West Ham were always fond. I was always fond of West Ham, but I just thought the season that you had last season, not massive squad, lot of games played, just like us lot. You lot went deep in the Europa League, and do you remember? One of the reasons I gave was he keeps playing the same team. You could pick your team so easily. Antonio up front if he's fit, Souček and Thingy Bob in the midfield. Oh, Bowen, your key players had to play every game. There was no rotation. I just thought unless you go out in the market and buy at least 5-6 first teamers, you're going to have a really tough season. You've said you've had a tough start, but do you think you're seeing your team sort of get over that rough patch now, and do you think there's enough of a squad to get back into the top half of the table?
Yeah, I mean, Moyes at the start wasn't really playing the new signings. We didn't see Paqueta come in till later. Scamacca was not starting in the league. Emerson, he still had him in and out, even though I think he's good enough. Kura wasn't starting, who's been really good for us. We've had Gued, who's been injured. But we're starting to see the new signings start to come in now, and it's made a big difference. Like Scamacca, he has made just a massive difference to our side, giving us a huge boost. The guy is quality. The impact he has on the rest of the team is something else, like honestly. And I look at it, we actually tried to sign Darwin Núñez in January. We went in and, they didn't want to sell. I don't think we even got to negotiate with the player because of the timing of it, and we weren't willing to pay the big money. But looking at the way the two have started, I'm not saying Darwin Núñez won't come good, but Scamacca, he's taken to this league like a duck to water. I really like what I've seen for him. So the more he plays and the more he adapts to the more Paqueta adapts to the league. I think we're going to get better in that front. Cornet, who's unfortunately got injured, I think he's a quality player. Flynn Downs, waiting to get his chance in the league. He's been man of the match, 2 weeks in a row in Europe. You got Areola, who's been quality. So, there's depth there.
I've pulled up your ins and outs. If we very quickly look at your outs, I don't think anything significant apart from, would you say, Diop, and of course the retirement of Mark Noble. But again, he wasn't really playing last season, was he? So I'd say possibly Areola and Issa Diop. I guess, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Was there anything that you did? Was there any of those outgoings that you was against and thought, stay?
Only we got rid of. I don't think Elise is on there. He's just a young player who's gone to Sunderland. He's a prospect, but Diop, he was hot and cold. That first season we had him, he looked really promising. Mourinho called him a monster. Links for 50 million to Man United. All of that stuff never really kicked on. Masuaku, I like personally. Don't think he's a left back. Think he's more of a left winger. Vlasic didn't get a chance. Noble, I think, is a big loss in the dressing room. His leadership and what he brought to the team. I think we've felt that loss. But apart from that, there's no one you can really look at and go, wow, like the team are weaker. The squad's weaker for them having left, all across the board, really. So just fringe players, really.
Tom, looking at that list of outgoings, we were vaguely linked with Issa Diop when we had a centre-back crisis, I think. I can't remember when now. Or was it? I can't remember, was it this season or last season? But I do remember us being vaguely linked with them.
We were linked with everyone then.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But I mean, looking at those players, again, not a lot of money coming in, and to a club like West Ham, who do rely on kind of being smart in the transfer market, buying and selling. Like they got 16 million for Issa Diop, but the rest, as you can see, all free transfers. Did you think the worst for West Ham? What was your views on West Ham sort of last season coming into this season?
I thought they'd be doing a little bit better than they were now. I did consider that they had Conference League, so they were playing Thursday, Sunday again, which can be a killer on legs. And that was my only concern. I did think they'd be doing better because I really like West Ham's squad. I think there's a lot of quality players in there. I don't get why Declan Rice gets as much disrespect as he does. He's one of the best DMs in the league, easy. Scamacca's, as you said, taken like a house on fire to the league. And your centre-backs, I think Kurt Zouma, barring off the field stuff, he's a very good centre-back. And I thought the core, the spine of that team was very solid. But it just, whatever reason, form, injuries, it just hasn't clicked for them yet. They're still a dangerous team. They've still got dangerous players, and you've got to be wary of them because they'll be coming to Anfield looking to rock the boat after we're on a high right now. That they could very easily come to Anfield and go, we can upset them. We can get at them. We can ruin the mood straight away, and then it's back down to the days post Everton and all that stuff where we were sat there hoping for a win again.
Yeah. Before I come to Mick with the Liverpool side of things, Dan, you ended up. So it was a slow start to the window for you, wasn't it? A lot of like, we need to get moving, we need to get cracking. But in the end, you done quite a bit of business in the end. It says here it's like 160 million's worth in the end. So go on, talk me through some of these, obviously expensive star signing. Well, I'd say two. Were the two attackers. Paqueta, how the hell did he end up at West Ham? Everyone's asking.
Yeah, what quality sign that came out of nowhere, and I think that one really we were going for Lingard. Lingard was Moyes' first choice. He was chasing him since last summer. It was all on Lingard. As soon as Lingard doesn't come, Moyes has to shift. We've got Rob Newman, who was head of recruitment at Man City. So I think he's sort of identified these players, and listen, they were like, no, like we've failed on Lingard, who a lot of fans wanted back. We need to get a good name in, and they've gone all out to get him. And it's proved to be like Lingard has done us a favour, really, by going to Nottingham Forest, because the guy's been shocking. He can barely get in the team, and even when he does, he doesn't do anything. And we've got Paqueta, who is just unbelievable. And I think he's just going to get better and better as he gets into the team. And some people liken him to Payet, which I think is a little bit too lazy because of the quality of player he is. But he's a player that can get stuck in as well and put in the tackle, break-up play.
He's far more aggressive than Payet, isn't he? You're right. He can get stuck in. He plays more central, doesn't he? Where Payet was more on the flanks. Different type of player completely. But Paqueta, you've got him at the peak age. It's a brilliant signing, and so is Scamacca. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, Scamacca. He really, like in the market. Chelsea were looking for a striker. Do you remember at the time? Man United were looking for a striker at the time, and I'm not sure if Arsenal had bought Gabriel Jesus or were looking as well. And I thought Scamacca walks into all of those teams, and he improves them, and he's the focal point that they all need. You swoop in because I think you guys went for someone else first. Remind me, there was a name. There was a striker that you lot went for, and he didn't come off. Oh, my mind's gone blank.
We were linked with quite a few. Like it was just all over the place. Ollie Watkins, like I said, Nunes last in January.
Broja, Chelsea.
Yeah. Who I really wanted actually.
I thought he would suit West Ham and Moyes far more than Scamacca.
That's the thing. I looked at him. I thought Prem proven. He's a good player. I thought he can. He's only going to get better. So I really wanted Broja, but Scamacca, I likened him a bit in terms of the way he plays to Harry Kane. Not to say he's on the level of Harry Kane, but he's not just let me get in the box and get on the end of a cross or a through ball. He will drop deep and make things happen. He will drop deep, make a pass and run. and just make the team tick. You know, it's so refreshing because I love Antonio, but Scamacca's a different type of striker. He feels like a proper striker. Antonio is traditionally a winger. But now we've got two completely different options now where Antonio maybe you can bring off the bench late when people's legs are tired and he'll just run at teams like a battering ram. So that gives us some good options. But yeah, I'm loving Scamacca so far. Loves a shot from outside the box as well.
We both suffering from injuries and the next two players sort of for you guys haven't really featured. Well, Khanage featured a bit. But the French centre-back, just so unlucky, right? Well, I'm not sure if he's French by nationality.
Yeah, he's Algerian.
So, very highly thought of.
Moroccan.
And again, I said as a very highly thought of, but just injured in pre-season, right? Any idea how long he's still out for?
Well, they were talking sort of initially after the World Cup, but he's actually seems to be ahead of schedule. He's back training now. Like he had a bad injury, so he's back training. I mean, he was someone that was like a sort of a high-profile signing for us when we got him. You know, like as you can see there, £31 million on a defender. Yeah. So to lose him, and then that's why we went out and got Kura, who's actually been really good for us and can also play as right back. Who looks good. He played there against England for Germany. It was quality. So yeah, it's a big loss, but it's going to be a big boost when he comes back in, I think, Aguerd. So hopefully it won't be too much longer. Cornet, again, he was just starting to get his chances. Got his first start, gets injured. And it's so unfortunate. And now, like, centre-back wise, we're struggling at the moment because we've got Zuma injured. We've got Dawson injured. Ogbonna injured. Aguerd injured. That's 4 set. This is like Liverpool a few seasons ago, isn't it? You lot are getting flashbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. This is you've mentioned the word injuries, and I guess it's a perfect segue time to make in Liverpool. So look, Dan's going to go through sort of what he thinks is going to be their predicted team in terms of the squad setup. Mick, we can't catch a break, can we? Just when we think light at the end of the tunnel, all our major players seemingly coming back. Our current list of injuries, I believe, is here we go. I've got it here. So we've got Joel Matip, we've got Luis Diaz that we knew about, didn't we? We've got Naby Keita still not back. We've got Oxlade-Chamberlain back. Sorry, we've got Luis Diaz out until after the World Cup. We've got who else, Tom? My mind's gone blank.
So you've got Matip, Diaz, Jota, Keita, and Kanate's still technically out, isn't he? He's not.
Yeah, Khanage will be back. He won't be back for West Ham. He'll be back for Ajax. Who do we play next? Ajax.
Arthur as well. Can't forget Arthur.
Arthur as well. Yeah.
It might be back for. I mean, he said Klopp said he might be back on the weekend, so it might be back for Forest. Kanate, hopefully. It might be too soon.
Unlikely.
It might be too soon.
Unlikely. Probably midweek. But look, just when we were reeling from Luis Diaz injury, who's been probably our best performer in terms of attacking wise this season, we lose him till after the World Cup. Huge blow. For me, this one today, equally, if not, in my very humble opinion, more of a blow. That's how much I rate Diogo Jota. So sad for him. So sad for Liverpool. So sad for us.
Yeah, absolutely massive. And we've all spoke about how much of a goal scorer he is, how much of a goal threat he is in and around the box. He's so lively. Whether that's right foot, left foot, in the air, he's a beast at all those things. But the one thing that stood out most in the City win was his ability to provide cover for the fullbacks. I think him and Elliott as it was basically a blanket 4-4-2 in a defensive setup, and him and Elliott were just absolutely amazing and keeping us really, really tight at the back and trying to stem the flow of obviously the City overloads on the flank. So and just those moments where he picks up the ball and he can run past 2 or 3 and get us down the field in a similar way Salah can on the other side. So it's a real outlet that we're missing, and it's like missing the World Cup's another massive thing. He's only a young fella still, but it's really, really devastating. It's just going to be interesting to see who who Klopp goes with in terms of the replacement. Really, it's going to be an interesting one.
Mad interesting. Honestly, every time we sort of try to work out a formation, what tactics we're going to make. Do you remember the boring old days of 4-3-3? We knew our team lineup. We knew 4-3-3. We knew every team knew how to play against us, but just couldn't handle it. So every team knew how we're going to play. Every team knew the strengths and weaknesses, but couldn't do nothing about it. Wow, it seems like we don't know the lineup. We don't know the tactics. We don't know how we're going to perform. Tom, taking all that into consideration in terms of the injuries and sort of the players that are just coming back, like the likes of Curtis Jones and Ox, who won't be fit for this, it's imperative tomorrow. Is it imperative for you tomorrow to sort of stick with the formation, despite this being a total different game to Man City? Because we'll get on to how West Ham will approach this game, because I've been doing a bit of background reading. But go on.
I think it's imperative we keep the shape. The system and shape I class as two different things. I'd keep the 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1 shape, but I'd be a little bit more adventurous. I'd still want me wingers coming back, and with the whole debate about who should be on the left now that both our starting left wingers are out, I'm quietly going maybe a little bit of Darwin Núñez for just the chaos he brings. Just chuck him on the left and let him do what he does, and something will happen. So I reckon you just got to keep the same shape. It's brought us 3 wins in 4 games, and we were unlucky to not get at least a point against Arsenal. We shouldn't have got a win, but we should have really came out there with a point. So it's clearly working. That the players are fitting into it properly. We've covered off our weak points with it. And I think this is a system that slightly suits a couple more players in terms of Fabinho was naturally in a double pivot at Monaco. So you find that he has to run a little bit less. His mobility is a little bit less exposed. Thiago playing a double pivot at Bayern. So he's back in a little bit more of a natural position. I just think it's something that I think you got to stick with, and it keeps Salah up front. It keeps Salah close to the box. It keeps a 3-time Premier League Golden Boot winner in a position to score goals. So I'm all for keeping it.
Yeah, it's been bugging me, honestly. It's been bugging me for about 3-4 weeks. I was pulling, I would say hair, but you'd laugh. Chest hair. I was pulling my chest hair out, thinking we've so got the personnel right now to change the formation. And now, fast forward 3-4 weeks, and we played it for 2-3-4 games now. Suddenly, our forwards are dropping off, and now our midfielders are coming back, which now suggests to me now we've got the personnel to go back. Because I like the Darwin Núñez shout on the left, but not in a 4-4-2. Because I don't think he's ever got the discipline or know-how. Never been coached or trained to play as like Diogo Jota has, because Diogo Jota's got history of that at Wolves. Yep. Like he played as a winger that's tracking back and forward.
He was a left winger at Wolves, yeah.
Núñez is your prototype centre forward, but does a lot of dangerous work there. So in a 4-3-3, he'd be perfect, right? So now my head's going mad and mad and mad. But look, in terms of the two-team shape, I've got Dan, your team last time you were out played, what was it? Southampton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you had a setup of this. Now, talk to us. Give us some insight so we can pass it on to the coaches of Liverpool. Do you think much difference that when you go to Anfield is going to be sort of from either the lineup or formation-wise for you guys?
You know, it's you were just talking about how hard it is to predict Liverpool's lineup these days. It is even harder to predict how West Ham's lineup. Week to week, it changes. I don't think Moyes knows his best team and best setup. I don't think it's so much that he's playing the opposition rather than because it's like you said last season. Everyone knew you know we was going to play 4-2-3-1 every week, same team without a fail. This season, I just think Moyes still doesn't seem to have figured out who his concrete best team is, what the best formation to play is. As you can see, we played a 3 at the back at Southampton away. A team that was really struggling, and it wasn't really like a super progressive 3 at the back. It was a slightly more defensive.
It's a really interesting back 5. That 4 fullbacks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. We've got, and if you look at Kura, who's been playing at fullback, you could say 5.
All five.
Yeah,
Kura is a fullback. Kura has made his name as a fullback a lot. Yep. He's played a lot there.
Yeah, exactly. Plays there for Germany, and so it was just all fullbacks. We should have just had nothing in the middle and had everyone on either side. But yeah, so that was the thing. It sort of came out of necessity. Now, I'll be interested to see if Zuma is back. It was just he was ill. He had a bit of an illness, so they isolated him just for precautionary reasons. So if he is, it wasn't a physical injury, no muscle injury or bone injury. So if he's feeling better, I imagine he will go back into the team, which could change the dynamic of how we go at the back, how we line up.
You're definitely still going to go 5 at the back. I have absolutely zero doubt about that. You will not go with a 4 at Anfield, will you?
No, I can imagine us having a cautious approach, which I don't agree with. Really taking that, like we've done well at Anfield recently in terms of giving Liverpool a bit of a game in terms of 100%. Chances, goals, but it's too much of, okay, we'll come there, we'll hit Liverpool on the break and cause you some problems, and we'll come away with a respectable 1-0 or 2-1 loss, and it's just like, let's just go for it. Let's just take the game to Liverpool. And look, if we come away with 3-0 up or whatever, that's what's going to happen. We don't win there anyway. I just see a stat someone put up. We haven't beaten any of the so-called Big Six teams in the last 18 visits away from home. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, and you can look at 2 draws and I think 16 defeats. And that's playing cautiously. In each of those games, you can look and go, oh, we was unlucky there, unlucky. Oh, we had chances. But it was just all narrow victories. And I'd like to see us just take the game, because a loss is a loss at the end of the day. Like, either way, if we lose 1-0 or we lose 3-0, we're still lost. But there is some way, some days you could just catch your teams, Liverpool, and you have teams like Crystal Palace and Brighton do it. They'll catch the Liverpools and the Cities off on the day and just really, take the game to them. And I'd like to see us take the game to you. So yeah, it's frustrating, but yeah, I can see that team pretty much being.
So let's say if Zuma is back, and if it's an illness, he's probably likely to be back. Who do you think comes out of that back line then?
Probably Ben Johnson. I'd say Ben Johnson. He's just coming back from injury himself. He didn't have the best of games. Like I said, I do cut him some slack because he is coming back from injury. Moyes likes Creswell there. I prefer Emerson if we're playing and obviously just back 4 and we're having a left back. But I think that's the only change. Zuma's better. He comes in for Johnson. I really want to see Flynn Downs for Souček. But this is kind of the game for Souček, really, because Souček is good defensively. He's good at breaking up play and putting the tackles in. It's just when we need to progress the ball. And in some respects, actually, that could be his downfall, because when we want to counter-attack, if you can't find that killer pass quickly and efficiently, then it just kills your whole counter-attack. So as good as he might be against your defenders at stopping you progressing, he also stops us progressing. So I want to see Flynn Downs for his passing there, but I doubt that will happen, especially in a big game like this. Moyes won't have the balls to do that.
I've pulled up a couple of the subs that came in as well, a few of the subs. Any of them? Because I would have thought Antonio's a shoo-in against us. I would have thought instead of Scamacca. I don't think he's going to play both of them.
No.
He might do. You never know. As you said, he might drop Paqueta and just go for 2-pronged attack, just try to capitalize on our defensive frailties. What do you think?
Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't like to see Antonio come on, because I think then we'll just start going direct and play balls over the top to him.
But if it works, it works, Dan. It's worked in the past against us. Balls over the top, into channels, into the Trent area, which I'm guessing I'll get Tom's and Mick's opinion on it. I'm guessing he might be coming back in to the team. I don't know. Or it might be James Milner go again. So bearing that in mind, wouldn't you mind
I just think Antonio's lost a bit of pace to him. And so when we've played that this season, it hasn't particularly been effective. And
have they played together?
No.
No.
No, it's like for like sub. So if Antonio starts, Scamacca comes on for Antonio. If Scamacca starts, Antonio comes on for Scamacca. So I would like to see them start together. But I think if Antonio starts, we will try to play that. Yeah, it could be effective here and there. But I think Van Dijk is so good and he's not particularly slow. Trent does have his defensive frailties, but he's quick, and I just think Antonio just not being as quick as he used to be. I don't think that's as effective. It will be as effective as we'd think it is on paper. So I would rather stick to what's been working. Yeah, Scamacca, the link up play, the shots from outside the box. That's I think going to be a big thing for us, being able to create something out of nothing. Because I look at that Southampton game, everything we created, all the chances, all the shots were from him and Paqueta having a go outside the box and coming very close, rather than relying on players to feed them in and things like that. So I think in this respect, having a player like that who's got some guts and can have a go, and when Antonio does that, he hits it into row Z, So yeah, I would rather just stick with that and have Antonio come on towards the end of the game. Like I said, legs are tired. Bring him on 75th minute. And it just gives Liverpool a different dynamic, a different thing to worry about. So we'll see, though. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Antonio started.
One player that I haven't seen and who's given us a hard time in recent times is Fornells. Is he injured as well, or is he just out of favour at the moment?
Yeah, it's just Moyes has been changing it up recently. So Moyes has been changing things up. So he's been in and out of the team, really. Okay. So I could see potentially Fornells coming in if he wanted someone a bit more defensive, who gets a bit more stuck in. That could potentially happen. It's just who comes out, though, because Paqueta's, I think, too good. I want to see Paqueta drop for Fornells.
Mick, from our point of view, looking at that lineup, straight away we know the danger man for us. Straight away will be Bowen. He'd be a danger man for against anyone. For me, he's a wonderful, wonderful player. Someone that can get into probably most of the top 4 teams, in my opinion. He's a danger, isn't he? And in terms of the rest of the team, they lack a bit of pace if Antonio is not playing. That works in our favour, doesn't it? Because I would have hated to play Fornells, Antonio and Bowen, for example, because runners from deep is our issue. Tracking runners from deep.
Yeah, it's just interesting, Dan, saying like Antonio's lost a little bit of pace, because I think you just always assume that it's pace and power. But if that's on the wane a little bit, then because I just, when I looked at the 11 earlier, I was thinking I was going to probably take Paqueta out and put Antonio on that side and try and get on Trent, because obviously, like you said, Milner played obviously really well against City, but he had that protection from Elliott, and Trent's now back. So I imagine we'll be putting Trent back in there just to try and get a bit more attacking ability down that side. So yeah, I mean, it's the Scamacca one. I haven't seen much of him, to be fair. I haven't watched West Ham that much this year, but is he like 6'5", isn't he? And if he's likes to get stuck into he's obviously going to be a bit of a physical specimen and stuff, getting on stuff on the edge in the box and stuff up against Van Dijk and Gomez. So it's going to be, I think that's going to be a real test for us. But like you said, it's the pacing behind that really causes a lot of problems. So if he doesn't play Antonio, I'll be really happy, to be fair, because then we can maybe push up a little bit higher than we would if Antonio was there. So
it's intriguing. You're right, Mick. You're spot on. Will we push up, though? This is what I'm saying, because we've played a total different game against Man City, and this is going to be totally different. And even Scamacca's totally different. They might be the same height in terms of Haaland and Scamacca, but Haaland makes channel runs, left foot, right foot. This guy loves a shot, so he doesn't mind dropping deep, turning. This is going to give Gomez and Van Dijk a total different type of problem from Haaland. This guy is very intelligent. He's not as obviously quick and powerful and that type of striker. He's more, even though he's 6 foot something, he loves a pot shot and he's pretty good at it. We're going to have our wits about us in terms of blocking those shots. It's going to be crucial. But again, Paqueta, lovely player, absolute baller, but loves the ball to his feet. we're not that worried about balls to feet, are we, Tom? It's more the third man runs, the second man runs, and that's where Bowen we need to keep an eye on.
Our biggest issue is when you turn our defenders to face their own goal and start making them run back, because they're not used to that they haven't been defending like that. So if you pump long balls over the top consistently, you'll catch us out because we won't be prepared for it. If your players want the ball to feet, we'll be expecting that hopefully we'll have our 2 blocks of 4 that just work together. I think Fabinho, I don't know if he's going to play Thiago, to be honest, but Fabinho and whoever he's with will just be shuttling, trying to intercept whatever comes through, making sure that whoever does receive the ball to feet is instantly under pressure and doesn't have the time to pick out the perfect angle for the shot or the perfect angle for the pass. They've got to rush it, and that's where we'll win it back quickly.
Do you know what it is? What's Souček and Rice been like this season, Dan? Obviously, that's your go-to partnership in midfield. You know, rain, shine, or sleet, or whatever. Any game, home and away, that's your go-to double pivot. What's the form of Souček been? Because there's been a few moans and groans about he's fallen off a little bit.
Yeah, it's just, do you know what it is? I think, you know, when he was scoring goals, I think it masked a lot of other weaker aspects of his game. You know, we're looking, he's sticking the ball in the back of the net. Oh, he's brilliant. Oh, he's scoring goals. But,
yeah.
You know, that's not his primary job, you know, as a centre midfielder. So now he's not scoring goals. We're starting to see how sort of
what else does he bring?
Yeah, so his passing, you know, is really poor. So that has really been eye-opening this season. Defensively, he's gotten better. He's gotten a little bit more solid as a defensive part of his game. But I think how poor he's sort of been in his game has affected Rice quite a bit. Rice scored the other day. I think the fact that Souček's gotten better defensively now has given Rice a bit more license to go forward and do what he does and be that box-to-box guy. But I would rather have Rice as that defensive midfielder. I mean, he was traditionally a centre-back, so the defensive side of his game is his strongest part. He wants to get involved in the attacking side. Like I said, scored a banger the other day. But while Souček is there, I think Rice is having to do more work. And I think that's a problem. So I think that's what's affected that partnership. And that's why we're all sort of pinning our hopes on Flynn Downs and hoping he will get a chance because he's looked really good. And he could be what really unlocks our centre midfield there. So, yeah, Rice is Rice. He's always going to be quality. Souček, I think squad player. I think certain games. Yeah, it's a shame because he's a great bloke, but we don't need a player that's just going to play in the midfield and just run in on the end of headers and things like that. I mean, our set pieces now are atrocious. Our corners...
I was literally going to come to this now, lads. From our point of view, Scamacca, Rice, Souček, that's 3 6'4", close to 6'4" players. That's if Antonio doesn't play. I know they're going to lose a bit of height in the centre-back area because of... but if Zuma's playing as well, that's 4 big, massive blokes. Without Khanage and Matip, do we need to be a bit more resolute in our set-piece defending? It hasn't been so much of a problem. We've had problems elsewhere, but our set-piece defending has been all right, hasn't it, Mick, for a little while? It's not something to worry about. Or have I just cursed it?
Probably, but yeah, we tend to be better anyway. It's not like years gone by where every time Liverpool have conceded the corner, I've started to worry. Obviously, we've got a lot of quality players in now to defend that, but yeah, I think we're fine with them. I think we're fine. I think Van Dijk's he's like a magnet for the ball in those areas. Obviously, he's not been his best this season, but I think the City game was a step in the right direction for him in terms of getting back to his best form. And we all know how good Joe Gomez, considering the injury he's had and being out of position and going back into centre back late on for Milner to come in at right back. So yeah, I think it's a good partnership. We've seen it before when we won the league. Van Dijk and Gomez is very good together. It's just kind of trying to get them to both stay fit and both to continue that partnership. But yeah, I think for set pieces, I think it depends if Trent plays. I think it obviously that factors in as well, because sometimes he can be susceptible to just switching off slightly, and we know West Ham have targeted us before with the set pieces.
Absolutely,
I think it was
absolutely, yeah.
One where Alisson, I still think Alisson gets
last
fouled.
Season.
But
last season, caught us twice on corners.
Yeah, and it's the same routine. They know it. Just near post, just into that no man's land, right at the near post where they pile in. But that was obviously with Dawson, with Zuma, with a Bonner, I think was there, or was it Diop, the other centre back? And then add to that Souček and Rice. They had about 7 6-footers that time. I think it's a bit of a different team now. But let's get into it. How do we go about it? Because I don't think we're going to be too concerned about that. We're going to have to focus on our team and our strengths, Tom. Let's pick a formation first and foremost. I guess that's the best way to go about it. How are we setting up?
I don't think he changes the winning system. I think he's found something that will just get him through until the World Cup. Maybe if he wants to change something, it'll be during that 6-week break where we've got in Dubai. That can be where he has the majority of his team to work on what he wants to do next. But right now, he's got a winning system in that 4-4-2. I don't think he's going to suddenly change it back.
Right. Okay. So we've got a formation from Tom. Are we, the Liverpool fans, and I guess the form he's in, Dan will agree with us. Do we want Trent back? Because it's Milner or him, really, isn't it? There's no other option, right?
I had a little bit of a curveball to throw in, to be fair.
I think I know where you're going with this. You thinking Phillips is perfectly suited for West Ham, don't you? And Gomez goes right back.
Put Gomez at right back to deal with Antonio if he starts.
This is why I get paid the money I get paid. This is why I read every contributor's mind. Look at that. I read his mind. I've only known him a couple of months. But look at that. I just read his mind. So go on. Explain the thinking.
So Joe Gomez was fantastic against Erling Haaland. Absolutely fantastic. Can't fault him, man of the match. If he's going up against Scamacca, I know he likes to drop deep, but he does have a physical side to him. He'll happily go up and challenge for any header. Joe Gomez still, to me, is just a little bit lacking in that aerial duels department. Give him a header on his own, he's fine. Put him up against a big, strong striker, he does struggle a little bit. That's Nat Phillips' game. Nat Phillips doesn't come off that pitch happy unless he's got a bandage around his head from nutting on attack in the 37th minute winning the ball. So I even remember during the injury season, Nat Phillips' first game that season was against West Ham, and he had a fantastic game. Got man of the match there. I just think he's suited to the type of striker that we could come up against, and I don't want to see Trent back at right back yet. I would want to save Trent for Nottingham Forest, where I think there's a little bit less danger, a little bit less almost pressure on him, and he can just go back to focusing on himself. Maybe even give him right mid-minutes against West Ham. See if you can get a little bit of an attacking output over him there.
Mick, I had that in the back of my mind, but I just don't know, because I don't know if they might throw Antonio in there as well, you see, and that changes the dynamic completely for me.
It does.
Because I don't want to see Antonio versus Phillips.
No. Well, this is the discussion I had earlier. We've done a show on Copy Podcast earlier, and someone put in the comments, like, Phillips back in, and I was like, wait there. That's actually like a very weird, good outside shout, but it just depends, like you said, how West Ham go about it, because if they go Scamacca, it's perfect, but if they go Antonio, then that's not good. And I know Dan said he's lost a little bit of that pace, but Nat Phillips is
not that much pace.
Not quick at all. It looks like he's running about 40 meters a custard when he turns. So yeah, it's a good outside shout, but I do think he'll just switch out Milner for Trent. I just do. I think Elliott stays on the right. Give Trent the same protection you gave Milner, and also fill in for Trent while he bombs forward and tries to get balls into the box and cause havoc like Trent can. And I think we're at home. If we were away, I think it might be a more suited shout. But I think at home at Anfield, after we've just dispatched Man City, I just feel like we might as well go for it a little bit more. But you never know. You never know.
See, the thing is, I get that shout, and I wouldn't be adverse, because Phillips against Scamacca, I wouldn't mind seeing, because Scamacca won't run him. But it's that third attacker that I'm asking Dan tell me who it's going to be so I can pass on the information. And Dan's not letting off. Like, because if Bowen, imagine Bowen switches wings, but Bowen very rarely switches wings, right, Dan? He stays on that. Yeah.
Pretty much consistently on the right-hand side, on our right.
Because even if it's 4-0, it'll be a problem for Phillips. But he's saying 4-0.
I think Gomez would give support though, wouldn't he? He's still at right back. It wouldn't be like Nat Phillips is left out to dry. Like Trent often leaves his centre back this season. Gomez would be a little bit more reined and a little bit more cautious, just to help him out with the pacing behind. But the Antonio threat will always be there. The Antonio threat's there if you play Gomez at centre back. I just think you've got Scamacca. I don't know if he is, but I think he's one of your most informed players, Dan. If you can neutralise him to an nth degree and neutralise an avenue of getting the ball into his feet, you stand a good chance of annoying him and making him struggle a little bit. Start taking worse pot shots, getting in his head, and then making him come off the pitch.
Do you know what? Matisse Nerd is in the building, and he's saying Trent must start. We're only suggesting Trent don't start because he's come back from an injury, and we're just saying, like, slowly get back into it. Otherwise, he's still our star boy. And if he does start tomorrow, remember, goal and assist coming up. Remember that. Big up 1892 lads in the chat as well. Big up Grizz in the panel. Yes, Scamacca's a problem. Phillips a problem. All right, listen. Tom, as a good of a take that is, I'm in agreement with Mick, so we're going to outvote you on that one. I think we're going to go with Trent for Milner, Gomez, Virgil, because of the fact that they were so good together. And it won't be good for his Gomez's, I don't know, mindset, like being switched around. Like he's going to think, oh, give me a chance, give me a break. Let's get a partnership together with Virgil. Do we agree? Robbo's definitely getting back because he was fantastic. Definitely. Right, this is where it gets a bit tricky then. Midfield, Mick.
That is tricky. So do you want like a midfield 4, or you want like are we going 4-2-3-1?
Do you agree with Tom's idea that we're going to stay the same formation? I don't know what you want to call it. Whatever you want to call it. Let's call it that formation.
Yeah, I still think it's a 4-4-2 defensive. It's a 4-2-3-1 attacking, isn't it? Basically.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think he'll. It just depends because it's the Thiago thing, isn't it? Because we've got so many injuries at the minute, and we've played Thiago quite a bit. And every time he goes into a tackle, I'm just like, oh my god! Like he's like one.
Rice loves a tackle as well. Rice loves a tackle as well.
So he might go Fabinho Henderson, just to give Thiago a bit. But I just feel like I think Thiago just changes the game for us because he's just like he's on a different level to everyone in terms of those passes into the channels and stuff. So I'd like to see Fabinho and Thiago just go again, but I feel like Klopp might go Fabinho and Henderson just to give Thiago a bit of time out.
Tom, any agreements or arguments? This is what Klopp will do, by the way. It's not our team.
I think he might play Thiago this game and then completely rest him against Forest. I think he's just reading the lay of the land in terms of the fixtures that we've got coming up after Forest is Champions League decider. So it's almost, if I give him a rest again, if he gets through West Ham, he's not playing them for a week. That's sound. He can recover. Fab and Hendo can hold down the fort away at Forest. That'll be a game where you need a little bit more physicality, a little bit more tough tackling. That's made for them just to get stuck in. So I think he might go Thiago Fabinho again. I think he's going to try and keep the core of this team the same as the one against City because it's a massive win. That you just want to keep confidence high.
That leaves me to decide. Shit, that's a bit of a tough one. I think he brings back Skipper. I think West Ham, because of the way they're going to play. So I've done a bit of background reading on West Ham, and even though Dan's sort of told us this sob story about no centre-backs, they've been fantastic from a expected goals conceded point of view. They've got the lowest expected goals against them, which suggests Moyes knows how to protect the centre-backs or full-backs that he's bloody playing at centre-back. So they are very hard to get through and penetrate. And I think, I know that formation that I put up showed a lovely trendy 3-4-3 bollocks. It's a 5-2 DM 7, and then just Paqueta and Bowen supporting their striker. That's how they're going to play, right? So they're going to be camped on that pitch. That's why I think Thiago may get another goal. He has to, because he's the only one that creativity out of Fabinho and Henderson. Let's get it straight. But then Fabinho had his best game the other day. Fuck. Go on. Anyone want to change your mind?
We could just split the difference and just go Thiago and Henderson, drop Fabinho.
I wouldn't be shocked if he done that.
I've got a feeling he's going to play all three.
You think he'll go 4-3-3?
I don't think he's got the person. I think he might play Núñez wide left, Bobby through the middle, and Salah. Fuck, this is hard. Dan, is there any right? Let's hold that thought, guys. Hold that thought. Dan, is there any changes that you've thought from your lineup, the way we've discussed our team and the way you think? Does Moyes rotate from because you're playing every 2-3 days now? So you played 2 days ago, didn't you? And then you played Thursday as well, didn't you? Yeah. So I'm sorry to test your memory here, but from that Thursday to Sunday, was there any changes?
Yeah, there was quite a few changes. Because I don't think Scamacca and Paqueta started on Thursday. Right. So there was a few defensive changes. Obviously, Dawson, I think, played on the Thursday. I expect from that Thursday team, there'll be quite a few changes from that. This will be a different team, but some players came off the bench.
No, but from Thursday to Sunday, because what I'm trying to get into Moyes' head is like, does he make changes? Like, if he has to play every 2-3 days, does he? Because you're saying you're pretty much certain that it's going to be that same team that you played against Southampton, which was only 2 days ago, away from home. The only dilemma is Zuma, then you're saying, yeah? Zuma
to me, that's a big dilemma. Look, there is a possibility he could go Antonio Fornals, but to me, that's the safe option. You know, we've got these quality players in Paqueta and Scamacca. Let's try something different against Liverpool. Let's not go for the same predictable team. And it's funny, actually, because we've done really well against Man City in the past few seasons, away and home, right? Playing on the counter, those sort of teams. This season, they came to our ground at home, beat us 2-0. They said they were prepared. They knew how we were going to play.
Didn't let you touch the ball.
Yeah, we did. It was nowhere. We didn't put a mark on them. So I think let's try something different. Let's try and play some good football and see if we can get at them. So let's forego the safe option. But just in terms of resting players and that, look, we need to put out our best team. So, we can't look at it and think, okay, well, Bowen's played this many games, in that time frame. With the players we've got available, he's the best option there. So we just need to go best option, and go from that. I mean, you've played a very taxing game on Sunday, where you've had to put out your absolute best team. So I'm hoping that you'll be a little bit more tired than we will from that. Because, I mean, that game, 96 minutes of just pure end-to-end, just, entertainment. So I'm hoping that's a factor, to be honest. But, yeah, just let's go all out for it. Let's go for it.
I think I've decided, lads, and you're not going to like it. I think he's going to... Fuck, no, you can't do that. I
could see him starting all three, to be fair, but he chuck Hendo on the right to cover Trent.
I was just going to say, I think he's going to bring in Carvalho on the left.
Yeah.
Henderson on the right. Salah, Núñez, and Fabinho. That don't work, though. Bobby, sorry. Have I gone too many players?
You got one too many players on the pitch there, Grizz.
Would you allow that, Dan? Like, have an extra player? Can we have... extra player on the pitch? I don't know then. I'm stumped, mate. I don't know then how we're going to do this, because this is the beauty of it. But this is what the beauty of it for the opposition, like for opposition fans, they won't have a clue. Like Moyes won't have a clue how we're going to set up, and I like that aspect of it, because normally everyone knows how we're going to set up. I don't know. Make a call. Tom, you're the youngest. Even though me and Mick are older than you, you get the final say on the Liverpool lineup.
Oh, God, the pressure.
By the way, guys, we haven't even hit 100 likes. Like, are you lot like mad? Like, do you want me to have a fit or something? Like, go mad and start swearing at you like I started swearing at Huey last night? Come and sort it out. Not even 100 likes.
Tom, I think it's as easy as if you boil it down. I think it's Trent in for Milner, and I think it's Carvalho in for Jota.
Yeah, I think as much as I want to see Nunes off the left, I think he's just pure unadulterated chaos. He doesn't even know what he's going to do. So how can opposition defenders know what he's going to do? I don't think this is the time for him. That would
The
be
only
something I'd see
thing
if
I
he was
agree
honest.
with you, Mick. I agree with Mick, and I agree with that. The only thing that's bugging me is Henderson. He's going to bring his skipper back. He won't drop him for 2 games in a row. I think that was specifically for Man City. I think. And even though Elliott was fucking superb.
As much, I could see it. I could see him doing Hendo, you know, but I would not like it one bit. He's not. It's not 2011. He hasn't got the legs to be up and down, up and down.
I think it's Henderson and Fabinho. I think it's Henderson and Fabinho, Elliott, Carvalho.
He's not going to drop Bobby. Bobby's been in such good form. He's not going to drop Bobby. So I think Nunes will go back onto the bench. He was on the bench when so I think Nunes will stay on the bench and he'll go Firmino, Salah.
Now Nunes starts.
So you're saying he drops Firmino and goes Salah, Nunes.
Nunes starts because they haven't got a playmaker as such. Bobby plays Suchek because they play with a double pivot. There's no one specified playmaker for them. So Dan, as like from what I've seen of West Ham, Dan will know more. But from what I know of watching West Ham, they take turns in collecting the ball. There's no designated playmaker out of Suchek and Rice. So therefore Bobby won't be needed to play that role. I don't know. But how do you drop Bobby? You're right now. We're stuck. All right, well, listen. We're stuck in it. Like we can't. Like, all right, Mick, go on. If you're so clever and smart, go on. What is it then? Let's see if you get it right.
I just think it's Trent for Milner and Carvalho and for
Nunes.
I just feel like at the minute he's a good bench option. I think if you bring him off towards if we're struggling towards the end, then we need like some absolute carnage.
He's a hell of an impact player, isn't he?
You bring him off for the last half hour. He won't be happy about that. Of course he won't. But I just feel like at this moment in time, Bobby has turned from like the perfect number 10 into like R9 and just scores loads of goals. So you've got to play him. And I think Elliott, you can't drop Harvey Elliott after that performance. You just can't. He was just so good. So, but I think the only change in the two, I think he might bring Hendo in for Fab or Thiago. But I think apart from that, I think it's pretty much the same for me.
Interesting. I love it. I love when it's interesting because, as Dan said from the start, trying to pick 11s these days when you're playing every 2-3 games is it's a wild guess, really. But listen, people, there's still over 220 of you that have stuck with us through thick and thin, trying to predict teams. I know this was a random time for me to go live, 6 o'clock, but yeah, family activities, I should say. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to tell you what film and where I'm going or whatnot, because in case there's mad stalkers out there. I know some of you are mad stalkers. But here's what it is. Thank you, Dan, for making another appearance. I can't wish you any luck tomorrow, but for the rest of the season. And, of course, we'll get you on again many more times. Nice one for popping in, my friend.
Yeah, mate, thanks for having me. Like, it was good to come on and talk about a game as unpredictable as a game as I've ever had against Liverpool, not knowing what to expect from you or us. So, mate,
it's true. It's true. Like, neither teams know. Like, we're both had similar starts. Like, disappointed, but started picking it up. And now we've had injuries again, so we don't know what the lineup's going to be. But yeah, no, it was fun chatting to you, man.
It's mad. And so, but yeah, everyone, leave a like. It was like enjoyable show. And yeah, if you want to come and follow me and at me or whatever and continue the conversation on Twitter, you can come and chat to me for sure. But no, it was enjoyable.
100%. And Tom and Mick, yeah, let's see who gets the most right. I think I bottled it. I didn't even name. I only named 12 players, and then I bottled it. Yeah, I named 12 players to cover my ass. So you know what I mean? I can't go wrong. I'll say, I mentioned him. I told you I mentioned him. So but you two are smart for me. So, but yeah, let's get a quick prediction, lads. Finish off with a quick prediction. Tom?
2-0.
Liverpool, I assume.
Yeah.
I don't know with you. I have to check with you sometimes. Mick?
God forbid we lose 2-0 to West Ham. Oh no, I couldn't deal with that.
I'll go for I'm feeling another clean sheet after City, so I'll go 2 or 3-0. Hopefully 3-0.
Dan?
I'm not confident about this game, but I'm gonna be as positive as I can be. I'm gonna say 1-1. 1-1. I can't see it winning.
No, that's fair enough. Look, I've got loads of respect for people that, even though when they go to a tough away ground, still back their team to get a draw. And that's fantastic. But yeah, I hope we continue. I think it's going to be really tense tomorrow. It's completely different from the Man City game. They're going to be camped in. It's going to be a game of patience. We got to watch their shots outside the box. They're not. I think they're going to look to take a lot of shots from outside the box tomorrow. Not look to get behind us, but take a lot of shots. We in turn have got to be so patient, and hopefully that man Mohamed Salah has run into a bit of form that the world's taking notice again, because I thought he was out of this world. Let's just hope we hammer the hammers. Over and out. Take care.